Welcome to part 3 in a disruptor in established power structures. Now, if you haven't watched part 1 or part 2, I would recommend watching them before coming to this one. But in summary, for part 1, I talked about how here at non-academic, anything that we have done, anything that we will do, or anything that we are doing will be placed somewhere on this amazing timeline. And in part 2, I talked about how to define the definitions accurately. What is a perfect or accurate world to you? What is an imperfect or inaccurate world to you? Now in part 3, we're going to take it a step farther and try and change how we word our definitions so that they have no interpretation. Because unfortunately, almost all of the languages, they are extremely flexible and there's lots of interpretation that can go on between them. Let me give you a couple examples. Broom swept condition. Whenever you sign a lease for an apartment or if you rent out a house, normally the contract will say this place was given to you on broom swept condition and you must return it broom swept condition. And now I might just happily sign away at that, and when I enter my apartment or my house for the first time, it might be the dirtiest thing ever. Cockroaches here, mice here, ceiling basically falling, the paint job is all messed up, and the leasing office can convince me saying this is a broom swept condition because what seems broom swept to them might seem like my worst nightmare. It's all up for interpretation. Same thing with necessary. In law, Congress can do this if deemed necessary. Well, what is deemed necessary? To me, the necessary amount of hours of sleep is 9. But for someone else, it might be 7. Excessive. In the judicial system, excessive could be that the Supreme Court thinks that this law is too excessive. Well, what does it mean by excessive? To me, an excessive amount of walking is 15 miles. But what is it to you? 25, 19, 30, 5? It's all up in interpretation. Same thing with reasonable time. Whenever you get an email, your employer might say, please respond in a reasonable amount of time. My teacher actually made the same mistake. They asked me saying, whenever you go into the high school, make sure you respond to my emails in a reasonable amount of time. And I asked them, what do you mean by reasonable amount of time? How much is that? And they didn't have an answer for me. Because is 2 hours reasonable? Do you want it in 2 minutes? Is 2 days? 2 business days? It's all up for interpretation. And this is where the law industry is sitting. This is where they're heavily dependent on. But that's a story for another time because I'm not a big expert in here. But what I wanted to say here is that in non-academic, whenever you come with your product, service, or solution and you place it on this timeline, make sure you define the definitions accurately and with little to no interpretation. And if there has to be some interpretation, at least put it up front saying, this statement could be up for interpretation so that you know. So whenever you're not here with us at non-academic, try looking at sentences or phrases and figure out where it might be put up for interpretation. How might you view it and how might someone else view it? Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course share, because we want to get this information out to as many people as possible to help as many people as possible grow to become amazing leaders, to reach the height of an amazing leader. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!